Thanks so much, Clint. That really adds an awful lot, and I'm glad more people came today to hear this great concert. So that's wonderful. So welcome, everyone. I see there are a number of new faces that haven't been at a Next Chapter event, so let me give you a little background on Next Chapter. The goal of Next Chapter is to provide support and resources for people moving to the next chapter of their life, transitioning. So this is the end of our first season. Chris is the anchorman for our series, so that's going to be great. And so there are books in the library. If you see one you like, please take it. If you have some that you think Next Chapter people would like, stick them in the library. We'll take that. So we're going to take the summer off. We're going to get ready for our fall season, which will start in September. And we've already lined up one speaker. Alan Page will be here in either October or November. We're finalizing a date. So more on that. And we have some other feelers out as well. So let me tell you a little bit about Chris. So Steve Harris, where's Steve? Steve Harris is a good friend of mine and a good friend of this church. And so he reached out to Alistair Jacques and me one day and said, hey, you got to meet Chris Thibodeaux. We said, great. So we got together for a beer. We went around the table and talked a little bit about ourselves. So, Alistair and I, pretty basic. We've done a couple things, but we got to Chris and the number of things he's done, the number of things he's involved in. I literally had to go home after that and take a nap. I got exhausted just hearing what he's done. So he's got a very dynamic church, and I thought it was interesting when he talked about how he came to be the pastor there. His dad called him one time and said, hey, Chris, I need you to take over the family business. Well, the family business was a big thriving church in Minneapolis. So Chris said he prayed about it and decided to do that in addition to his consulting business. He had a very successful career in sales and marketing, started his own consulting mentoring business, and right after that, he added another thing. And he can mention some of the other stuff. He's involved in so many different things. And we are working to figure out how our churches can work together, how we can do some things that will have some synergy for both our churches. And he's met with Steve Weens, our senior pastor, who's not here tonight, but our engagement director is here, Autumn Toussaint. So she will be working with Chris to figure out what we can do together, and that'll be exciting. We really look forward to that. So the rules for tonight are pretty simple. Chris will speak for up to an hour. Then we'll have question and answer, and we'll wander around with the microphones for that. This is kind of a real seating area for what we do. We fill in from the back, and we're all social distancing, or a lot of us are. So we'll find you with the microphone. So when Chris agreed to speak, he said, well, I only really demand one thing. And I thought, oh boy, I wonder what that's going to be. And he said, the thing I really will have, and I'll speak if you have it for me, is a clicker. And so, Chris, here's your clicker. Let's welcome Chris.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Let's give Jim a hand. Jim is, I believe, the founder of this. So I'm so excited to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. I want to give a shout out to my mom who's here, my aunt, some of my FLC people, Family Life Center is the name of our church. I actually live in Wayzata, so what's up, community? I live out here too. But really excited to be here. And tonight we're going to talk about getting your life in shape a little bit. But let me tell you a little bit about me before we do that. I'll let this video play and we'll go from there. You're fat, out of shape, and you haven't had a good workout in years. And I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about your career. Hi, my name is Chris Thibodeaux, and I'm a personal trainer for your career success.
I created the Career Fitness Center to help you get your career in shape, and it starts at $1 a day.
It's time we get you to the top. Let's go. So I play that video so you can give a perspective of kind of where I am and what I'm doing. But my background is this, so he kind of gave it away. My kids hate when I do this, but I do this a lot when I go speak. I say, well, I was a drug dealer for 22 years. And then they go, Dad, that's not funny. And I'm like, pharmaceutical drugs. So I worked for 12 years with Johnson & Johnson, lived in Michigan, New Jersey, DC, Baltimore, Chicago. I've managed from North Dakota to Puerto Rico. I was vice president of sales for the entire US for Upsher Smith. If you guys are familiar with Upsher Smith, it's based here. I worked for UCB Pharma for 7 years. It's based out of Belgium. So I've had multi-tiers and hundreds of people under me and working for me. And in all those years, what I started to find was that the development for people and their individual careers or even life was always dependent on if you were at the very tip top of the company. And I just didn't always think that was fair. So what I started doing when I launched this company called the Career Fitness Center, these are just some of the companies that I've worked with over the last 6 years. I'm also the chaplain for the Timberwolves. Somebody asked me that earlier if I could get them tickets. That answer is no. In 2023, we're starting to work with Target and different companies. And again, why I'm working with these companies, what we're doing is we come in and we personalize just like you were a trainer. So I can look at everyone in this audience. I know there's so many bodybuilders and people who only go to the gym and never eat sweets. So you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're so fit. But when you go to a gym and try and get in shape, the gym is there. The question is, what do you need to do to get in shape? And we think the same way around people's careers and companies. So when we sit down, we go, what's going on with your company? What's going on in your department? What's going on with your career? And then we help create career paths for people to get to the next place. But what again happened for me is when I was moving up in my career, I just found there was a gap in development. So unless you were maybe the next CEO or the next top person, you didn't get all of the same resources. And so for me, at one point, having a couple hundred people work under me, I had the budget to give one person a career coach. So it was like winning the lottery. And people were very upset when they didn't win the lottery. And like, well, Chris, why didn't I get it? And I want development. And I was like, I have one budget. So as I was working for these other companies and trying to manage all these people, I started saying, well, what if you could find a way to give more people development and close that gap? And so I had this idea, and I created the Career Fitness Center with that mentality. What I love about this, and what's extremely funny, is when I do this, and people come up to me and they go, so are you a bodybuilder, or are you? And I'm like, if you think I'm a bodybuilder, you get some free books. This is great. But what it really is, again, it's around your career, and we wanted to make it accessible and convenient, affordable. What I tell people is, our membership starts at $1 a day. That's all it costs to get a membership, and I'll tell you what that looks like. But I tell people, if you spend more on your coffee than you do your career, I can tell you why your career is in the shape that it's in, right? So you have to invest in yourself. And what I do is challenge people to do that. So what we did here in my company, we took the idea of Netflix, which is on-demand information. How many people have a Netflix account? How many people are sharing their password? You're in church. Don't lie. Don't you lie. Your kids got your passcode right now. All right. Not kids, but some of you have your kids' passcode. That's probably what's really happening, right? So with Netflix, you have on-demand opportunity. And again, I know all of you are on TikTok every day in this room. But with TikTok or social media, it's a quick way to get information, right? You watch videos in 2 to 3 minutes. And then I had this idea, Lifetime Fitness was actually a client of mine, and I was looking at their membership model. So one day I said, I'm going to combine the three. I'm going to create a way for people to get quick on-demand information, and I'm going to make it a membership. And so then we created what is now the Career Fitness Center. So you join the gym, you have access to videos on certain topics. The videos are less than 2 to 3 minutes. My number one video is I hate my boss. That's not going to happen for anybody in here. But we also talk about life and things that you can be doing in your life and how to get to your next level in life. So tonight, if you want it, my book is out there called Get Your Career in Shape. We're doing a little special where if you buy a membership, which is $30, you get the book for free, which is $20. If you want to give me $50, I will take it. But if not, if you want to just buy the book tonight, $20, you can buy that at the table on our way out. But let's get into this now, talking about managing your life fitness. Managing your life fitness. So what I want you to think about this, these are the topics we're going to talk about. So what shape is your life in right now? That's what I want you to think about. And then I'm going to challenge you to set a goal tonight. a very specific, tangible goal, and we'll talk about what that looks like. We'll create a workout plan, we'll write it down, we'll do the work, and then we're going to talk about your perception being your reality. So, what do you really want? Now think about that for a second. If anyone says a different spouse than the one you have, please don't say that out loud. Please don't do that. All right, but what do you really want? And not what you have, and not what you think you can get, but what do you really want? And the reason I do this is I challenge people. Sometimes I'm sitting down with senior executives. I'll say, what do you want? And they give me the mission of the company, or they give me the canned answer. But if I say it enough times, there's usually this breaking moment where they go, well, what I really want is, but I can't have that. And I'm like, no. Before you say you can't have it. So I want you to think right now, 30 seconds. You don't even have to say it out loud, but what do you really want, right? You've always really wanted to open that little business. Well, I'm retired now. I really want to write a book. I always said I wanted to go on this worldwide trip. What is it what you really want? We're going to come back to that in a few minutes, and I'm going to challenge you to think about it. So I'm going to show you a video. There's 2 people in the video. Everyone say 2 people. All right. You have to pick which person in the video best represents you when I just said, go after that thing you really want. Okay? So how many of you have at least an idea of the goal, something you want? You don't have to say it out loud, but something you want. It's kind of like out of the box. You can't believe it. It would be a big stretch. Everybody got something? I'm going to wait because then it won't make sense. Okay, I'm going to wait. Okay, you got a little something that you want, right? Okay, so now in this video, when you start thinking about trying to get to that goal, I want you to pick one of 2 people and tell me which one best represents you. All right? Here we go. You may have to turn that up, Joel.
Fun, exciting, thrilling.
Is that it? Is that it? Oh my God. Now I'm scared.
Oh, come on. Don't say that. You're going to get... Michael, come on.
Oh, my hands are sweaty. He's not telling us when we go. We're just going to fly
Don't
off.
worry, it's not that bad. Don't worry. We have a couple of procedures just to make sure that everything is okay. All right, just to make sure everything is good, shake your seat. Shake the seats. They're good. They're tightly on there. Make sure your belts are tight in there. You see those belts right there? Are you sure?
Oh my God, why are we still up here, dude?
That was fun.
Oh, that was fun, it was. Did you pass out?
I don't know.
I don't know if you heard what he said. She said, did you pass out? And he was like, I don't know. And the other thing he said, that was fun. So when I'm challenging you to go after your goal, which one best represents you? Are you the person like screaming and passing out like, Chris, I don't know if I can write this book. I can't retire, I can't. Or are you the person on the other and just laughing like, this is great? Which person are you? Which best represents you? When I said go after this goal, that audacious big thing that you're like, how am I going to do that, Chris? Are you screaming and passing out? Or are you the person getting excited? All right, I just want you to quickly tell the person next to you. If you don't have anybody by you, just make a quick friend. Just say, I'm the person on the left. I'm the person on the right. Really quick. Just tell somebody. And tell them why. So the idea is, there are times in my life when I've been both people. Sometimes I'm the person like, when I opened this business and everything was great, and this is a funny story. I left my company. My father was passing away, and he asked me to take the church over, so I took the church over. So I'm starting the business, and I'm in my house, and I was trying to do something, and I had a couple of clients, and I walked out of my office, and I said, somebody needs to get me the marketing information. And then my wife yelled back, like, there's nobody who works for you anymore. Like, I'd worked in, these high rises and all these people working for me, and she was like, okay. And then when people, you ever seen these commercials when people were calling and they were like, you'd like to speak to Chris? 1 second, I'll get for it. Hi, this is Chris, can I help you? You want to talk to marketing? 1 second. Hi, this is Chris from marketing, can I help you? I was doing all the jobs. So there were times, though, that I was laughing and like excited, this is the best thing. And there were times I was on this ride and I was screaming and hollering like, what am I doing? I should just quit, just go back and get a job. So the reason I want you to think about this is, where is your life right now? Is it a little out of shape? Do you got a little thick in the middle? Are you running out of breath when you start thinking about where you're going to go with your career or with your life, or where you're going to go with managing these kids, or whatever it is? The idea tonight is to get you to start to think about that. So what I want you to start thinking about is, you got to be kind of real with yourself. The first chapter in my book is called Mirrors and Scales Don't Lie. Now, have you ever thought you were skinnier than you are until you saw yourself? I'll wait. Have you ever felt like, I'm losing weight, right? Get on the scale and you're like, it keeps moving. Right, my mother said it's a demon in the scale. But there are times in your life where I don't know about you, but I don't know where this weight comes from, but I go to sleep and I wake up and it's just on me. And I'm like, what happened? But what can happen is the same thing in life. Before you know it, you're just sluggish. You're not as excited as you used to be. You're not as confident, as bold. Come on, there were times where some of you were like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go and post for this job. You did those things. I'm going to join the service. But what happened to you over time? That you're not as excited. You're not this go-getter anymore. Have you ever ran into somebody who knew you in college or high school and they start talking and you're like, remember you did? I'm like, yeah, I did that, didn't I? It sounds like two different worlds. Well, tonight what I'm doing is I'm shaking your tree a little bit to make you kind of wake up and go, wait a minute, I'm still that same person. So here I want you to do another quick little exercise. So I want you to rate your life just based on these 3 questions, okay? So the first question is, how happy are you with your life today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5's the highest, 1's the lowest. How clear is your plan to reach a specific life goal? So if there's anything you're trying to get to in your life, I want to put enough money aside to pay for my grandkids to go to college. Great. That's a goal, but have you put a plan in place for that to happen? The third thing is, rate your effort in the last 30 days working towards that specific goal. So if you told me your goal is to, get promoted at work, then tell me 1 through 5, how hard have you been working towards that in the last few days? So you can use your fingers, you can use your phone, you can use that great memory of yours. Take your 3, pick your number, and add up your score. And then after you add up your score, I'm going to let you talk to your friend again that you just made, and if you haven't had a friend, find one. And we're going to talk about that for a second, but what's your score? Look at each question, figure out your number. You got your number? Do you have your number? So total them up. It's not a lot of numbers, so this shouldn't take that long. It's 333, 555. Okay, all right. You have your number? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now what I want you to do is find someone just to have a quick conversation with. And here's what I want you to say. I want you to tell them what your score was. My score was a 9, my score was a 12, my score was a 15, whatever your number was. And then I want you to say, why is that your score? Because this is your life. So why did you score a 9? You might say, I just had a really challenging year, or I started a new job, so I'm not as confident where I was. I don't care. I want you to really start to challenge yourself and think about that for a second. All right? So your job is, add up your number, your 3 numbers, get your total, and then find a friend and talk to them about your score. All right? So let's just do this for a few minutes. You can find someone next to you. If you want to, if you didn't like that person, you can get up and move away from them. You can do that too. All right, let's take just a few minutes and talk. All right. So, did you learn something about yourself just having that conversation? Can you put your hand up? Did you learn anything just about yourself having to have that conversation out loud? Did you learn something that you didn't know about the person you were talking to? Are some of you in the room? Like, you didn't raise your hand for either. Like, you're just, welcome to WCC. Okay, anyway. So, the idea here is that all that happens when you're forced to talk about something, you are actually forced to think about something. It's forcing you to go, well, I don't even know my score. I don't even know what goal I'm going after. That's what I want you to wake up tonight and go, wait a minute, I need to really start thinking about this. What am I doing? And then for some of you, like, you know you want something. You're just not doing anything about it. So this goal tonight, this push is to make you start to think, okay, I really have to start doing something and think about it. So now, since you have a little bit of that in your head, what I want to do now is help you actually set the goal, okay? So what's interesting about goals is this. So this was from Health News in June 2017, and it was a study done with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And they said, Americans want to be fit but don't put in the work. More than 3/4 of U.S. adults say being in shape and looking good are very important to them. Yet, less than 1/3 exercise regularly, and nearly half admit they are not active at all. Again, I'm not going to look at the crowd. I'm just going to say I understand that. I say this often, but everyone in this room, you have done this, what I'm getting ready to say. You are in church, so do not lie. You have not been working out, not eating right, going to the state fair, shoving stuff in your mouth. You eat 2 salads on Monday. And then on Tuesday, you are in the mirror like, I don't know, maybe if I look this way, if I squint, I'm a little skinnier, right? So what's interesting is people want something, but they're not doing anything about it. Wanting something is not enough. That's what I want to challenge you to think about. Wanting something is not enough. What are you going to do with the next 24 hours? What are you going to do with the next 72 hours? You can live and then wake up and go, oh my gosh, it's Friday again, or you can live and start going towards the thing that you want. If COVID taught us nothing, when we got locked in our houses, how many of you, if you knew that was coming, you would have done something completely different, right? You would have said, if I knew I was going to be in my house that long, right, I might have picked up this, I might have started this, I might have done that. My daughter picked up baking from scratch. Like, we were in COVID, and she was like, I'm going to bake some cookies. And I was like, well, there's no Toll House in the house. So she's like, no. And she Googled, and what was interesting is those cookies just found their way to my mouth. Like, they just, it's like, and I was like, what in the world? I told my daughter, I'm like, I don't know. She's like, Dad, what happened? I was like, and I did. I pointed at her brother like 5 times. And then when he was like, Dad, I didn't eat the cookies. We have a dog, and he can't talk. So I was like, Tibbs. That's his name, Mr. Tibbs. So, but the point is, what are you going after? What do you really want? And you have to look at your life and say, am I getting there? But then I'm going to challenge you to even go further than want. Because what want means is this: I have a desire to possess or do something. It's still a wish. But if I can get your want to become a desire, desire means a strong feeling of wanting. So it's not just wanting it anymore. There's a strong feeling of wanting it, to have something or wishing for something to happen. But man, if I can get this want to become a desire, but become a need, like, I need to do this. I need to finish this. I need to open this. I need to start this. I need to transition to this. You know what happens with need? Now it's a requirement in your life. And what I want to do tonight is shift you from wishing around things to start requiring things, because it is essential or very important. If that starts to happen in your life, I'm telling you, your life will change dramatically. So let's talk about setting goals. So what I want you to think about, if you have a phone, if you don't, if you can just tell the person next to you, we all do this. Remind me of this later. But be clear on something you want to achieve in your life. Like, pick something. I have a friend of mine in great shape, an NFL football player, and he was at a point in his life where he was getting ready to retire from the NFL, and we were having this conversation. And so months had passed, and I said, what are you doing? What are you going to do? And he kind of said, well, I'm doing this, and I had a meeting with these people over here, and then I started talking to someone over here, and I said, but what are you doing? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, let me give you an example. If you've ever been in the ocean, has anyone ever been to the ocean, right? What's interesting about the ocean, if you get in the ocean and start floating, you'll go in the direction the water takes you. If you go this way, the water goes this way, then you go that way. And I told him, you're floating on water. I said, but what I want you to do is pick a buoy and swim after it. Same water, same situation. The only difference is I am now controlling how I'm responding to the water. How many of you are floating? How many of your kids are floating? How many people at your companies are just floating? Somebody has to say, let's pick something and go after it. Even if you fail, I always tell people, if you're going to fall forward. But I want you to think about that. So pick something, preferably over the next 12 months. Now, you don't have to do all of this right now, this very second. Call me. I'll come over for dinner. I'll bring my slides. Thank you for laughing. Thank you. Appreciate it. Everybody else got it. He was like, he's going to go over the slides with the clicker. You got to have a clicker. All right. But in the next 12 to 18 months, do you want to move out of your house you're in? Move out. You want to get that cabin you've been talking about? Go and start looking at cabins. But life is going to pass by. So do you want a promotion? Do you want to retire? Do you want to do this entrepreneurial adventure? Do you want a personal goal? Do you want to do this lifetime experience you've been talking about? Then do it. But you've got to start making something happen. The second thing is, after you figure out what that thing is, break it down into steps, right? If you want to lose 100 pounds, I promise you, you're not going to lose it on Monday with one workout. And you know what? Thank you. All right. I got 2 laughers. Thank you. But you know what happens when you start working out and you get on the scale and it doesn't change? We get frustrated, and then before you know it, you back out. So when I've worked with personal trainers and people of that sort, they say the scale is just going to be one thing we're going to use to see if we're making progress. But we're going to do other things so that if that one thing isn't giving you an answer, let's see if other things are giving you an answer. I want you to do that same thing with your life. Don't pick one thing to evaluate if this is working or not. You know, have a conversation about, your finances with someone. Sit down and put a plan in place. Go see some homes. Go do this. Talk to someone at work. But start doing some different things to evaluate if you're moving forward or not. Then the third thing is think smaller workouts. You can't do everything at once. So pick something like, I'm going to do this week. This is the part I'm going to work on. This is how I'm going to move forward. Because if you start to do that, then you can create a life plan. So the idea here is when people say, you've done this as well, I'm sure, or you've seen it on TV, people get their great new workout outfit for Christmas, their Lululemon matching 2-piece set. They get their nice sneaks. They got that water bottle that drips and filters. And then they go to the gym and they do this. So I'll get on this one. I'll try this for a little bit. Okay, well, let's go over here. And I was talking to this guy from Lifetime, and he was like, I was standing there talking to him. He goes, watch this, watch her. She's going to be in there 32 seconds. I bet you. And she'd get on, and she was like, whew. He's like, she's not doing anything. But you know what she's going to say when she goes out? I worked out today. Oh my gosh, I was there for an hour. We fool ourselves. We trick ourselves. I'm doing this hard work. No, you're not. You're not doing any hard work. But you're letting people think you're working really hard. I'm here tonight to push you and go, what is your actual workout plan for your life? In a fitness world, this is what it would look like. If you do a fitness plan, it's a practice or exercise to test or improve one's fitness for athletic competition, ability, or performance. So if I said I'm putting together a workout plan, it's going to allow me to practice some things and do certain things. But now let's talk about a life plan. Because when you have the benefits of having this workout plan, you're not walking in gyms and not knowing what to do. You're not waking up on Tuesday and going, so what did he say to do? He said something about getting something kind of in shape. What was it? But when you have something written down and you can say, no, this is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm swimming towards. It takes the guesswork out of it. And the reason a lot of people fail, the reason a lot of businesses don't make it is because we're guessing as we're going. That's not a sustainable plan. But, we say faith is a substance of things hoped for, right? That's a church thing around faith. But when in my business world, they'll say hope is not a strategy. You don't just open the business and go, let's go with it. No, you want to put some things in place. How many cookies are we making? What are the cookies going to look like? Right? What's the pricing? You have to put a plan in place. It's the same thing around your life. What are you doing with that? So I'm going to give you an example of a workout plan, okay, really quick. And then I'm going to have you do a little something around yourself. So I want you to imagine for just a second, you're not you, you're someone else. Anyone in here ever sell cars? Anyone was like work at a car dealership? Perfect, this is even better. Now you all do, okay? So here it is. So your goal, because you work at a car dealership, is this. Now remember, we're putting together a workout plan. This person, you, could say to people, one day I want to be the regional manager for all the car dealerships in Minnesota. Sounds like a great wish. Close your eyes and blow out the candle after you say it. But what's the plan to make that happen? So now I'm putting together a plan for you. So you tell me, hey, Chris, you know what my career interest is? I want to be sales manager for a luxury car dealership. Great. And then my long-term thing is I want to be this regional manager. Great. Got a plan? We got short and we got long-term. Your short-term should be this. Be the top sales performer for each quarter of 2023. Remember I told you, if you have a plan, break it down into smaller steps. This is how you're going to stay engaged. This is how you're going to reward yourself. This is how you're going to feel like you're making progress. 2, you're telling me, I want to become the sales manager at my current dealership. I'm thinking about all these other places. I'm going to make my current boss and all my friends here put me in position to get promoted. The third thing is I'm going to join some professional organizations related to sales and networking. Isn't it interesting? Because if I take those bottom ones away and I said, be the sales manager for a luxury car dealership, the most natural question should come out of your mouth is, how are you going to do that? Or why are you going to do that? So look at this. Now, you know how clever you are, and you're so happy you came out the next chapter and saw that little black guy with the short hair up front. You're going to be like, that guy changed my life, I'm telling you. When you see me on TV, you're going to be like, I know him, me and Chris, we're like this. All right, anyway. But now you're so smart, you broke it down into activities. You literally are saying, like, I want to be the sales leader. I've broken down into some steps I want to do. And here's my first activity. I'm going to attend sales calls with senior sales managers. I'm going to go to the senior people in the company. I'm going to spend some time with them. Very logical, very easy. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to introduce myself. If I'm working at a company that I'm hoping people are going to stand behind me and promote me, shouldn't they know me? Right? Right? Real simple. Second thing you're going to do is you said, I'm going to start taking some people out to lunch. You know what's interesting? If you ask, hey, can I buy you lunch? People say yes. You don't believe? Tomorrow, walk up to someone and say, let me buy you lunch. They're not going to go, oh my gosh, no, they're going to go, when, where, how, why, now. If you ever go and they start ordering for you, this is a funny thing you can do. This happened today. I was at lunch with 3 people, and it was it wasn't really set who should pick up the bill. I call it alligator arms. You know what alligator arms are? Alligator arms is when the bill comes and your hands go like this. Oh my God, I would get it, but I don't know. I can't. Is it for me? Should I buy it? I don't know. You invited me though. I don't know if I should. So the bill comes and the 3 of us are kind of looking at each other, and I'm like, is it for me to get? So I went to get it, and the guy was like, no, I got it. I said, oh my gosh, are you sure? He's like, definitely. I said, no, seriously. He goes, it's on me. I said, you sure? And the waitress was standing there. I was like, I'll take 1 T-bone to go and 2 key lime pies. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, if you're getting it, I'm buying more food. You better take advantage of opportunities, people, all right? So here's the thing, though. What you have to do is, what are the activities that support the effort? So he says, I'm going to consistently be the top performer in sales. I'm going to schedule monthly meetings with my manager and share my goal attainment, my strategies, my learnings, my adjustments. He's having a plan. You're having a plan. You're not wishing anymore to get somewhere. You're actually putting something in place to do it. And then you know what you're going to do beyond that? Because you're just fabulous. Tell somebody, I'm fabulous. Some of you didn't say it. Tell somebody, say, I am fabulous. Yeah. Somebody just shook their head like, I don't know, Chris. You are. You're fabulous. Because you're so fabulous, you took it one step further. You actually pulled out your calendar and put in your activities. So that on Tuesday, when you're looking at Wednesday, you say, oh my gosh, tomorrow I have to do this because it's already set up in my plan. This is how people who are successful become more successful. They stop wishing and they start doing. What we want to do with your life is, I don't want you to wish anymore. And I don't want you looking at somebody else's life like, oh my gosh, look at them. Oh my gosh, their life is great. I wish I wanted to do that too. You're standing still while people are passing you by. It doesn't have to happen for anything. The third thing, after you do your plan and you put your schedule together, you put dates. You're like, I want to do this by January 31st. I want to do this by the end of the summer, right? For me, growing up in Minnesota, I used to always say, I want this done before Labor Day and before we start to get to State Fair. State Fair was like a closer for me. Like when I'm watching the news and they're like, 3 more days left, and I'm like, I got 3 days left. Like, because I put myself on a time schedule. And people, nobody else knows, but this is for me because if this is something I really want, I'm willing to commit to it. So here's what I want you to do. Now, I know some of you didn't come prepared, but how many have your phone with you? Okay, if you have your phone, you can use it. If you actually have paper, I think they have some paper we might be able to pass out. I just want you to write down a goal. It could be to cut the grass better tomorrow. It could be to finally put the flowers in and plant them, right? Whatever that is, I just want you to go, you know what, this is something I want to do. Pick a simple goal, and then write down one activity you can do. I've been wanting to plant flowers in the backyard. That's my goal. I'm going to go to Home Depot tomorrow at 2 o'clock after I get off work, and I'm going to get those flowers, and I'm going to plant them. Just that simple. So challenge yourself. If you're sitting next to someone, they're not writing something down, I want you to point and say, Chris, they're not doing their homework. So just yep. Security, he's in the front, and the glasses. There we go. All right. No, take just a second and do that, okay? So you're just writing down one goal and then some activity that supports how you can get to that goal. Music, we could have any listening. Where's our piano player? All right. Take a couple seconds and focus on that. All right, if you have one, can you just wave at me and go, yep, I have one. Okay, good, everybody? Okay, we'll give a couple more seconds. I see people saying 1 more minute. You have one? Good. If you don't have one, fake one. And just write something down. There you go. All right, I see hands going up around the room. We have one. All right, look at. Nice, Joel. For your listening pleasure as you work on your career and life. The background music has been brought to you live. No. All right, so here's what I want you to do. Okay, this is going to be a little radical, but now I want you to actually share that goal. All right? Now, if you don't feel, seriously, I'm not joking. If you don't feel comfortable talking to the person or you feel like I talk to this person all the time, seriously, you can switch. You can actually move around, right? I gave you permission. So now when you get back in the car and your spouse says, why did you get up? Chris made me. Okay. So if you'd like to talk about it, but I really want to force you now to share your goal and share your activity with someone, and we'll just see what happens after that. All right? Everybody know what they're doing? Find a friend, talk it on out. There you go. Just one more minute and then we'll come back together. One more minute. Make sure you share. Let the other person go as well. Okay, how did that feel? That feel good? You got it out? You talked through some things? Now listen, there are gonna come times in your life, and even right now, where it's gonna feel like, I can't do that. I mean, that just feels uncomfortable. So can I use you as an example? Would you mind? Come on up and stand. Come on up. Give her a hand, she's gonna come on up. Okay, so when she initially sees this, I think you're gonna probably say, Chris, I don't think I can do this. But we're gonna cheer her on because we believe she can do it, right? Okay. So this is 90 pounds, okay? And I believe, so you're gonna put your elbow here and you're gonna lean into it and it's gonna just pull it up. Just like that, yep. Okay, let's turn and stand forward. I'm gonna help you at first because I know it's gonna feel a little heavy. Can you turn this way and face the audience? Okay, here we go. All right, hold it. Okay, now show them what you got. You got it. Wasn't that amazing? I mean, she is just, oh, wait. Shh, I gave it away. All right, so my point is, when you first saw it, were you thinking, what is he thinking about?
Yes, but I saw somebody playing with that when I got here early, so I said, I can do this.
So she was like, I can do that. All right. So right now, some of you are going to go, I can't do that. But this is your first step of stepping forward, all right? You're just going outside of the limit, all right? Would someone stand up and share their goal and their activity? Anyone? I'm going to come to you. Okay, wonderful. I'm coming over. I don't look like Oprah, but I play her on TV. Here we go.
I have a goal. I want an acting apprenticeship at Howard.
So you want to do an acting apprenticeship in a college?
At Howard.
At Howard University. All right. So what's your activity now that you're doing to make that happen?
You have to have a certain number of IMBD credits, so I am working on a short film that we shoot in August.
So you're going to do this short film so you can submit with the application to go?
Yes.
Goal and activity, right? Awesome. Give her a hand. All right. I need to leave at least one or two more. Come on. Now, I can look at you or you can look at me. Some of you are looking at me like, don't you do it. Don't bring it over here. Who wants to do it? Come on. All right. Yes, give her a hand.
Well, I've been working on getting in shape, so I bought a metabolism monitor and I lost it a while ago. So then I fell off the wagon. So my goal is to find that damn thing before I go to bed.
All right. We're going to find that thing. All right. Give her a hand. So we know what we're looking for, and then the activity is you're going to go around the house and find it. Love it. Anybody else? Yes. Miss Joy.
All right, so my goal is to become a certified executive coach, and so my activity is to shadow one or two current executive coaches.
I might be able to make that activity happen. I don't charge that much. All right, give them a hand. That's awesome. All right. Now, the reason I'm doing that is so that, public speaking is actually number one or number two of what people don't like to do. But I like to challenge people to get out of your comfort zone, because if you could do that here, then when you go home, you can actually do that other stuff like, am I really going to call? Am I really going to do this? Am I going to set up this meeting? It can happen. So now you got this little plan. Now you have to do something with it. You literally have to do the work. Here are 4 things I want you to think about. You just got to commit to yourself and I'm going to do this. I am going to do this. Has anyone had a vision, dream, idea that you didn't work on? And you've seen somebody else work on theirs and you're like, that's my idea right there. Right? I feel like there was another crumble cookie right in here. You make the best cookies in the neighborhood. People said forever, you should do so. Oh my gosh, no, it's just for Girl Scout meetings. And now you're like, I should have made those cookies. right? So commit to do the work. Get the workouts task on your calendar. I'm going to make these cookies. I'm going to make cookies by the end of the week. I'm going to go and talk to some people. Like, make something happen. Incorporate your activities into your daily or weekly schedule. If it doesn't hit your schedule, you're going to see me next year and you're like, I'm going to get started, Chris. But you can actually do something if you put in your schedule. And then you have to create accountability. So what I do is I tell people things that I'm going to do, and then I tell them, ask me about it. So this is a true story. I ran everyone say one, marathon. Oh my God, I just started crying thinking about it again. Anyway, so I was at the church I was going to at the time in Chicago. You trained for a certain amount of months. It was a whole activity and was great. The day of the race, it was October 7th, I believe it was. It was supposed to be cold. It's Chicago. So we trained like in sweatsuits and stuff. It was like 98 degrees. Seriously. By the time I got to station 1, they ran out of water. No, you don't understand. You don't appreciate my pain. Like, it's my first one. So they told us, just make it to each station. That'll be your moments. I'm running. I get to the station, and they're like, no water. I was like, when's the next water station? Just 5 more miles. I was like, are you kidding me? Sweating, right? No water. Because what happened is this. They accounted for the number of runners to drink 2 to 3 cups. They didn't account for people pouring over their heads. That's why they ran out of water. And so the accountability, though, when I remember signing up for the marathon, the first thing they did, the first night, they said, are you going to do it? Yes. So we had to come up front and we had to sign a piece of paper. And then they said, you have to go home and tell 10 people you're running a marathon. And then tell them your diet for the marathon. So they told us to give up dairy, we had to give up red meat and all this stuff. So I call people, I'm like, hey, I'm running a marathon. You know how you're excited when you first do it? I'm running a marathon and no milk for me. Do you know what started happening like graduation season? I'd go to stuff and people would walk up and be like, you can't eat that. And I'm like, you mind your business. That's what you do. Aren't you running a marathon? Did you run today? Have you? And I was like, get out of my face. But what it did, I created this accountability around me. So when I wanted to stop doing it, I was stuck. I want you to get stuck. Go home and make this announcement to your kids. Like, go home and say, I went to next chapter and guess what we're doing? They're going to be like, Mom, what is wrong with you? Did they give communion? Was it a lot of communion cups tonight? What happened? But if you get more people to know about it, the more it's going to work. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. We had a good example of we make a goal, we start doing it, and we fall off the wagon and it doesn't work. So what I want you to think about is this. What are you going to do when you fall? What are you going to do when you make a mistake? Let's watch somebody who falls.
The 600-meter underway. Heather Dornan in Minnesota finished second in this event a year ago. She is in lane 4.
And Dornan is probably going to be your favorite. NCAA championships in 2006 in the 800, but she only won 1 Big Ten championships in the 2 years.
3 laps in this event, 600 meters, 3 times around the 200-meter track here at the field house.
What a bold move by Fawn. She's looking very confident, and the Penn State runner is just running amazing today. She did win her heat in the 400, but ended up taking 4th overall.
That's Fawn Dorr moving into the lead, a sophomore from Penn State. Dornan running second.
Dornan last year scored 23 points for the Golden Gophers in their Big Ten championship, so they're really relying on getting a lot of points from her this weekend, and she's just coming by Fawn Dorr now in the home stretch, heading into the bell lap.
Oh, Dornan falling down, gets up quickly, but that's going to cost her. Lucky she wasn't injured.
Her teammate just went to the front, though, so they may be able to recover from that. And Dornan is flying down the backstretch.
She is catching up.
She is going to catch Fawn Dorr, and she may catch the leaders.
Wow.
Wow. She's got Fawn.
This is a gutsy effort by Dornan. Can she pull it off? She's moved into 3rd. Dornan coming down the stretch from the outside. Dornan coming on strong. Dornan all the way. Dornan. Yes, she did it. Wow, unbelievable.
That is amazing. To fall in a 600, I mean, this is basically a sprint. I mean, this is an extended 400, basically. To fall with 200 meters to go and get up and win, that is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That's one of the most exciting races I've seen. Here's the fall.
Oh, she trips on Fawn's shoe.
It looked like Fawn just clipped her heel, and she went down just before the bell lap.
Fondor had to high hurdler to avoid a collision.
And she is powering down this home stretch, just doing everything she can to win this heat.
What do you think made her get back up? I mean, because I think everyone watching that race would have said, oh my gosh, give me a hug, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Right? She could have rolled off and everyone would have been like, give her a hand. Because you know, we live in the day, everybody still gets a trophy. Okay, anyway, that's a whole other thing. Right? I grew up in the days if you didn't win, you did not win. You got on the bus with nothing. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. I was having a moment, I'm back. All right. But can you imagine? Everyone would have justifiably said, oh my God, you fell in a race. But she made the decision to get up. Just shout out anything. Why do you think she got up? Yeah. Say it again. She had a goal to win. Yes. She didn't join this race to stay on the ground. She didn't start this thing to fail. She started it to win. And then something happened that she didn't expect. And in that moment, she had to make a decision. What else? Somebody else shouted out. Tenacity, determined. What's that? Adrenaline, right? She was probably so pumped up like, gotta go, right? My point tonight is this. If you slip and fall, get up quick. Oh, I started it, and get up. Well, I didn't do the meeting. Stop it, get up, go. Before you even have a chance to think about it and let yourself off the hook. And I want you to think about this video and like, oh my gosh. And if you surround yourself with people who give you the pity party and play the music for you, don't do that. You know what I'm talking about? Like you had the friend like, oh my God, I know, it's so hard. Oh my God, you tried. Stop it. Get around that friend and like, what are you doing? Go, start. I have a few people in my life, it don't matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter how great the contract I get. They always go, so what's next? God, celebration is next. That's what but they are there to challenge me, and I keep them around me to keep me going forward. So what's going to make you get up? What's going to make you, this time when you set this goal, what's going to make you stick it out? You got to start thinking about that now and say, if something happens and this starts to not feel comfortable and I fall, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get right back up. So Mark 9:23 says this, Jesus said unto him, if you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes. The core in this is the believe. It isn't Jesus. Jesus is like, I'm here. I'm doing my part. The part that you have to do is you got to believe you can get to this thing. You have to believe you can make these things up. Here's what's interesting. Alexander Graham Bell said this, before anything else, preparation is the key, right? So if he said, hey, listen, to do everything I've done, it was the preparation. Then if we believe that, if one would agree with Alexander and say, yeah, I believe you got to prepare for things. And then to have success, that's interesting that when we got on the screen to drop the S, that must mean something. I know some of you are like, that means something smart. Chris is so smart. Just, I don't know, the PowerPoint squeeze. Anyway, if one would believe that, and to have success, you must prepare. If you believe that, my question to you is, what are you preparing? Are you preparing for what's next for your company, right? For your children, for your retirement, for whatever, for your church, for your group, for your department? What is the goal and what are you preparing to do now? And this is a visual that I always use to help people think about this. Everybody talks about performance because they look at what you're doing. Did you get the A? Did you get the raise? Did you retire on top? Are all of your markets working and growing? Did your stocks? So everybody wants the performance. But really, the preparation is what's going to help the performance. So what I want you to think about tonight is, what is my preparation? What am I doing right now? Because that is actually going to grow to be my perception. And if you know anyone that is always like, do you have a friend that seems like they're always executing, they're always doing stuff, and like, you're doing that now? You're crocheting now? They're doing all these things, right? And you're standing on the side like, I wish I could do one. You can do one. You just got to prepare for it. So here's what I'll leave you with tonight. Start where you are. Right now, just right where you are. Well, I don't know that many people. Start right where you are. Well, I'm not. Start where you are. and then use what you have. Well, I don't even really know how to make a PowerPoint slide. You know how to draw on a piece of paper, right? Do something, and do what you can. This was Arthur Ashe, was a famous tennis player, and he was like, you got to do something, because you know what? That's a great excuse. Oh, if I had this, when I get this, then I'll start doing it. But for you today is to really start thinking about it, all right? So the idea tonight is to say to yourself, I got to manage my life fitness. So turn to someone and say, I'm going to manage my life fitness. Come on, tell them, and to say this, I am going to do it. Okay, how many of you said that you were going to do it? God, watch every hand. God, look at them right now. Because now when you go home, you're like, oh, God saw me. All right, can you do me one last thing? Can you put one hand like this? And could you put your other hand like this? And I want you to push it together like that. Okay, do it again. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great night. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. Jim, it's up to you. If you'd like a book, we'll have them for sale outside. If you want to learn about our career membership, we can give you that as well.
Now I guess we know why Chris is such a great pastor and mentor. So that was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And it's giving us a lot of things to think about and a lot of things to take away. So here's something we would like you to take away. It's a leather portfolio with our logo on it and the church. So you bet. So I also didn't mention that we have a free will offering if you're so inclined. There's baskets as you leave. There are great treats out there from Great Harvest Bakery. So help yourself to that as you go. And Chris, are you willing to take some questions? Oh, yeah, please. Well, here, one last thing I said, I want to say is that when we get speakers like this, we like to kind of rinse and repeat and do it quickly. So Chris won't be preaching here again until Wednesday. So if you can, come to our outdoor service on the front lawn and hear another message. So, all right. So we'll...
Any questions about anything? Yes, please. And can you tell me your first name, just so I... Ben?
Ben.
Okay, hey, Ben.
So everything sounds very natural for you, but how did you get into this life mode? What age were you? Were you 8, 16, 40?
Well, I'm only 27, and I have a 20-year-old son, so you do that math. No, for me early on, I'm a before and after person, right? So I can walk in a room where it's all white, and I can start seeing stuff. And for me early on, I didn't like putting myself in a position for someone else to decide my fate. I didn't like that. So I'm not even Catholic, but I was in church, and we used to have punch and cookies at the end of service. And we started our church in our home. And so they'd say, well, let's bow our heads before we close. And while the heads were closed, I was a man of strategy, even at a young age. I would make myself over by the table so that when we said amen, open eyes, I had my cookies. And so for me, it was just this point. Now, I will tell you something very interesting. I didn't know this speaking thing was a big deal. I was very popular in high school. I was, football teams and captains of this. I did a lot of that stuff and ran for offices and all that good stuff. It wasn't until I got to college that I was in a group kind of project. And we sat down and everyone was going through roles and responsibilities. And someone said, well, I don't want to do the talking part. And I was like, I'll do the talking part. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, we'll do all the research, we'll do all the other stuff. And I was like, I'll do the talking part? All right. So I started doing that until my professor set me down and he was like, do you know any of the other stuff? I was like, nope, but I know the talking part. And so my point is, what happened is then I started to build up confidence in certain areas because I put myself in these situations. I put myself in situations where I was like, I'm the youngest person going for this promotion at the company. But I was like, I didn't want to watch somebody else get that job and then wonder. And I hated wondering. I hate going, what if? So that's kind of what got me going, and that kind of motivates me still, because I'd rather know, even if I don't get it, I'd rather know I didn't get it than wonder what if I could have gotten it. Does that answer it? Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, in the back, and there's 2 questions back there. Here, I'll take, I'll take this one over here. Yeah, go ahead. Kim Rose tickets? They're going to be more than the value on top of the, Go ahead. Here, can you pass that back to him just to make sure everybody can hear him?
What would you say is the most important advice for a young person who has a career goal but isn't quite sure how to get there?
Yeah. I think exposure is the biggest piece. So he wasn't joking. When I was first getting started in my career, and I sat down with my manager, and we had to do these career development discussions. So he said, Chris, what do you want to do in the company? And I said, I want to hold the clicker on the stage. He said, what? He said, what department? I said, I don't know. I know when we go to these big meetings, there are people on stage with a clicker. And if they have that clicker, they're making good money. They're doing great things in the company. So I didn't even know what it was, but I knew I still had a destination. So what I would tell a young person is exactly that, which is start looking at a destination of, I would love to do that. I don't even know how to get there yet, but I didn't know certain things until I started seeing certain things. And then the other thing is, go for it. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten jobs and opportunities because I just asked someone, I'm really interested in this. And they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'd love to teach you, love to show you. So that's what would be my advice. Yeah.
I want to say, my name is Anne.
Hi, Anne.
And I want to say thank you so much for coming. You're hysterical.
Oh,
I could listen to you for another hour. I'll definitely be back in your life who, over decades, kind of stuck with you, and you stuck with them, and you saw ways in which your relationship changed. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I have a very interesting answer to that. So I'd never had a mentor. And I had people who opened doors for me throughout my career. My parents gave me a really strong foundation of you can do anything, right? And especially being Christians and being people of faith. So, there was a lot of, did you pray about it? I'm like, no, I just wanted to get on the football team, But it gave me the birthing on the inside and this feeling I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. So it wasn't up to Chris anymore. It was up to God to give me the strength to do it. But in that vein of doing that, and when I started to realize is, the reason I didn't have a mentor is because a lot of people make the mistake of thinking a mentor is a person who's actually going to go and accelerate their career. A mentor is actually someone who just teaches. And where people make the mistake, and so I started realizing I wasn't always in need of a mentor. They had a lot of training at my company. I started attending a lot of the things that were offered like this. What I needed was somebody to open doors. And so I was looking for an accelerator. And so what I found were accelerators who were in my life. And I did things like this. This is a true story. So I lived in Michigan. Our home office was in New Jersey. And I was telling my manager, I was like, maybe the next step for me is training. And he said, okay. And I said, but they don't know me. I mean, I'm in Michigan. It's the big office. But we had a national meeting coming up. And I said, all I'm asking you to do is this. Set me up to teach or train something in our room with just 10 people. And can you invite the person who's director of training? They set that up. That person came in, and I prepared, because this was like my audition. That's how I felt, right? So I was like, and people were like, you are doing the most to talk about expense reports. But I was like, expense reports and the importance of them. People were like, what are you doing? I really was. They were like, you got a whole lot going on. It was like Florida. I had a jacket on. People were like, you're boiling up. It's okay. But nobody understood it. But my manager was in the corner looking at me winking like, because he knew what I was doing. I had slides. I had breakout moments. And people were like, usually this is like, we just talk through this. But after it was over, that person walked up to me and he said, man, I didn't know anything about you. Here's the second biggest thing I did, and this is for any part in your career or your life, even the goals you're doing now. I asked him to do me a favor the next morning. I said, can we meet for breakfast? And could you interview me, mock interview me, like I was going for one of those positions in your department? And he said, what do you mean? I said, if I was doing this job or posting for the job, you'd have to interview me, right? And he said, yep. I said, could you do that for me? That's all I ask. Next morning we met. we talked, he asked me questions, and I was saying, well, this, da, 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 da. And after it was over, he said, okay. He said, Chris, I got to be honest. I didn't even know any of this stuff about you. He said, but I'm going to be very honest with you. You wouldn't get the job today because in this role, you need to do this. I'm looking for people who do that. And all I did was I wrote down everything he said. Over the next 6-7 months, I worked on those things. I just emailed him. I took this class. I read this book. When the job opening happened, he called me and he said, hey, Chris, I finally have an opening. Are you interested? I was like, I'm great. I'd love to come. He goes, well, just wait, because I'm going to do everybody else's first round of interviews. You've already done that, so I'm just going to move you on in the process. Just because I asked my boss to bring someone in the room, and then I asked the person to take me to breakfast, and he actually paid too. And I actually got that job. All because I just pushed myself to go beyond what somebody told me I could do. And people are like, oh, you can't get in training. Oh, you got to do all these things. I was like, move out the way, move out the way. All right. Thank you. Did that answer your question? Thanks, Ann. Yes, please.
So in your
hold that up a little bit more.
In your fit career platform or business, have you worked with anyone in the entertainment or acting industry? And for those that have a set direction that's doing the work, do they work with developing divine strategy or helping them kind of go to the next phase of their
career?
Yeah.
So let me make sure I got the first part. So have I worked anyone in the entertainment industry, right? And
yeah,
with my career fitness part.
Yep.
But then what was the second part? To hold that mic up a little more.
Does that consist of anyone that works like with strategist development?
Oh.
Like, let's say you have a set plan in place, you're working that plan, but you're kind of hitting the ceiling and you're just, because in that industry, navigation can kind of be tricky. So.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, while I'm talking, can you come to and pull up the Career Fitness Center? They probably won't be able to see on the inside, but let's see if we can just show them the outside of it. So inside the Career Fitness Center, there are courses you can take. So there's courses on strategy, right? And so you can sit down and watch 5 videos. They're 3 minutes each, but it might be how to build a strategy, how to pull people into your strategy, how to knock down doors when you're trying to make things happen. So you can take that $1 a day. You have access to it. Twice a month, if you're a member, I come on live, and I do this live via Zoom to all my members. The first question is, do I work with entertainers? The question is, do they work with me? No, I'm sorry. I got carried away. They gave me a mic. Okay. So, yes, I do. I have worked with a number of people who are kind of in different industries, music, sports, a lot of athletes. What's really interesting is they're in the same situation. They just have more money or more access. So it really still comes down to, what do you want to do? I start with people, what do you really want? Well, I'm an athlete, and I'm like, okay. And then when they all say, I want a shoe, and I'm like, everybody's not going to be Michael Jordan. So what else do you want? And when I dig, I've always liked, and that's when we start to figure things out. So it's really, I think the takeaway to answer your question is, yes, you can find more information from me here and join and pay the $1 and you have access. If it's not in there, you can email us, and then in 30 days, whatever you ask for will be in the center. And that's how we make sure that people continue to get the information they need. Okay, good.
Any other questions? Well, as you go out, again, there's a chance to look at Chris's book and what he has to offer there. And I want to thank all of you for being part of our first year of Next Chapter. This was a wonderful way to finish our first season. So I hope to see all of you in the fall. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you. Please take a picture with this. I'm telling you, and when you send it to friends, they're going to look like, what is she doing? So come and take a picture. We have 2 of those out there. If you do buy a book, we'd love to sign it. Thank you again. Thanks, Jim, for the opportunity.